Hey girl, my name is Anel. Welcome to the Brave in Her podcast, where we inspire, empower, and motivate by sharing our stories of bravery. I strongly believe that by sharing our stories, we open ourselves to healing, but also serve to give hope and inspiration to those who are dealing with a tough situation. We will talk about all topics under the sun. Now let's hear your stories of bravery. Hey girl, thank you for being here. In today's podcast, I have Nayris Sanchez, creator of A Moment for Mom. Hi Nayris, how are you?
Hi, how you doing, Anel? I'm doing good.
I'm good. So today we're going to talk about rediscovering oneself and embracing the new me or the new us. But first, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background. Do you have kids? Anything you want to share with us?
Sure. Like Anel said, my name is Nayris. I'm a mother of 3. I have twin 4-year-old toddler boys, and I have a 11-year-old son. So I'm a boy mom. I'm married. I moved to Orlando 3 years ago. And oh my God, so much has evolved. I turned 40 last year. And what can I say? I struggled with postpartum for about 2 years, probably a little bit longer after my twins. And during my postpartum, I was struggling a lot with finding myself. And I felt like I was battling with who I was versus who I was becoming. And in this time, my sister always advised me, you should write in your journal. And I started writing in my journal. And then I hadn't really told anyone that I was struggling with postpartum. And so I decided that I wanted to start my A Moment for Mom page on Instagram just to start expressing myself. And I created A Moment for Mom. And from there, I also decided to go back to school to finish my degree. And I graduated last year with my bachelor's in human services. And I'm here now, and I'm trying to get I'm a realtor. I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom. I'm also going to get my insurance license, and I'm also running my Moment for Mom podcast along with the Moment for Mom page. So it's a lot on my plate. It's a lot of things going on in my life right now.
Yeah, you sound really busy. And first of all, I want to say thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure that it wasn't easy, and thank you for being brave and putting yourself out there and sharing your postpartum journey. Because I created this podcast to share the stories of different women, and including the stories my journey through kidney disease. And sometimes it's hard to share stories, but you know what? I think it's very important because other women need to see our struggle so they can get through their struggle.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I agree.
So what does it mean to rediscover oneself? What does that mean to you?
For me, it means to be unapologetically you, to almost strip yourself of all the standards, all the judgments, all the pressure that's put on not just a mother, but as a woman, because we're always trying to meet up to something, whether we're doing it consciously or not. It could be because of how we were raised. It could be because of things that were implanted to us by our parents. And then, when you get married and you have kids, there's just so many things that you're always trying to meet up to. And it becomes difficult when you don't, and you start doubting the person that you are. And you find yourself almost like you don't know who you are, And for me, I struggled a lot with this because I was this person, and I forgot to say I'm a singer. Also, I write my own music, and before I had my twins, I was performing, and I was doing, I was like, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I got pregnant with my twins, and it's almost my whole life shifted. So it was a constant battle of me almost being upset that I was no longer that person and still wanting to be that person. So it's like a tug of war with myself. And then when I finally just let go, which I'm going to say this was like last year, if I'm being totally honest, last year before I turned 40, I don't know, I just been like on a spiritual journey with myself. And I'm just like, you know what? I need to learn to love me for me, accept my new self, because, I'm doing good things and just applauding myself more and being happy with who I'm becoming and my journey so far. And for me, rediscovering me it's just means so much to me, because I feel like I'm more in love with who I am now than I was a year ago.
Yeah. And did you experience any like feelings of like resentment and guilt because again you weren't feeling yourself? Like did you feel like you were trying to be someone that you are not, just to conform those standards by society or by other people?
Yes, of course. You always feel that. Because again, like there's so much pressure. There's so much pressure put. Like you have to be the perfect wife. Well, I'm Latina. So in our culture, it's like, you have to be this whatever, and you have to cook for your husband, and you got to be this mom, and you got to, but it's like, what about me? What about me? What about me? What about me? So
yeah.
All of those things, it's like, and then you feel guilty if you take time for yourself. You feel guilty if you're not being, so it's a constant thing that then when you decide, no, I'm going to choose me first because it's important.
Yeah.
If I don't, then how can I be all the other things for everyone else? So I decided I'm going to choose me, and my kids are going to be fine, and my husband is going to be fine. My house is going to be fine. I don't worry about the things that I used to worry about, having the cleanest house and making sure my kid, no, it is what it is. And everything isn't the same for everyone. What might work for me might not work for the next person. But
right.
Someone recently said in a conversation I was having, and when this person said this, it struck me so strongly that I'm just like, yes. And she said, you have to learn to make your life work for you. And that was so powerful to me, because we're always trying to compare, or we, not consciously, but subconsciously, we're comparing, like, are we a good mom? Are we a good wife? Is my house clean enough? Am I doing what I'm supposed, and if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're a housewife and that works for you and that makes you happy, great. But if you're not, that's great also. So you have to learn to be happy with your reality.
Yeah, I think what you just said is really important. Like how you're saying that what worked for you might not work for me, let's say. And I think you have to see what your priorities are, right? Mm-hmm. What is important to you and what will make you happy. Like before, your priority, or you thought that was your priority, having the cleanest house or being like the best wife, but being the best wife and meeting the standards of other people. But
Right.
now that you rediscover yourself, cleaning, having the cleanest house in in the neighborhood or whatever, it's not really that important when you have other goals. You have other priorities, such as
Exactly.
trying to be the best wife you can be, or trying to be the
Mm-hmm.
best mom you can be, or your personal goals, going back to school and things like that. So I think it just depends. If your goal is to, if your dream, I should say, is to, was to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of your house and have the cleanest house and all that stuff, then that's fine too. But then it's also fine not to have that and focus on
Exactly.
what your goals are.
Yeah, I think the important key is for us within ourselves to accept it, to be like, you know what? I'm not that person and I'm okay with it, because that's the struggle.
Yeah.
It's the struggle within ourselves that we are constantly like second guessing ourselves, and we need to stop doing that. We need
Yeah.
to say, no, I'm not the best cook. I'm not the whatever, but my kids eat. I
Right.
don't have the cleanest house, but my house isn't freaking trash can.
But you do the
Um,
best, right?
exactly.
You do the
And
best.
and what works for my home works for my home. Or maybe you don't have a traditional home where you're the one that stays home. Maybe your husband does. Maybe your husband is the one that is the mom and you're the dad. But that works for your family. That's okay, even though society says it shouldn't be that way. So as long as you're okay within yourself with how things work in your home, in your
Yeah.
life, you have to just shake everything else off and be happy. And that's it.
Yeah. And I think that's key because if, if we just focus on what other people want from us, or expect from us,
Mm-hmm.
then we're never going to be happy
Exactly.
because we could never satisfy everybody.
And that's exactly what, when you get to that other side, that you're like, you know what? Um, this is who I am, and I'm okay with it, whether people don't like it or not. And I don't care. That's when you rediscover yourself and the love for you. And you see that those things are not that important.
Right. And then also I think that taking care of yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, at first it feels like you being selfish and things like
Yep.
that, because that's what others are making us believe, right? Or
Yep.
we're making ourselves believe that. But
Mm-hmm.
actually taking care of ourselves first, is really important, because if we're not okay, how can we serve others? Not only our
Exactly.
family, but our parents or friends, things like that.
Yeah. And that has a lot to do with the pressures that are put on women, what kind of, I don't know. It's just, it's a lot. When you think about it, it's a lot that we carry. And a lot
Yes.
of times us women, I mean, for me, I don't like asking for help. I don't like people feeling sorry for me. And when you carry all that by yourself, there comes a point that you're going to explode. and
Yes.
and you have to just say, you know what, it is what it is. Whoever doesn't like it, too bad. As long as your core, meaning your family, your kids, and your significant other, if you have someone, are in agreement, and everyone's happy and understands how everything is working, then that's all that matters.
Yeah. Um, and so how can we rediscover ourselves? Like, can you give us some examples that have worked for you to rediscover you?
um I think for me, like I said, is it was just understanding that I can't be everything for everyone else if I'm not first for me. You know, I've always been the type of person that I love helping people. I love being able to see people smile and just helping others and embracing others and empowering and all that stuff and being there for you. And, you know, and I neglect myself, or I put myself last, you know, and as a mom, you do that a lot. And there comes a point where you're like, no, wait a minute. What about me? What about my time? What about the things I want to do? What about my wants? What about my needs? And the more that becomes kind of like a constant thing in your mind, that's when you know a change has to happen within yourself. Yeah. And that means letting go of a lot of things that we sometimes have a hard time letting go of, whether it's control, whether it's, you know, not being, I don't know. This is a lot of things because everyone does things so differently. You know, for example, when I had my first son, I wanted to home make everything. And after a while, I said, okay, no, I can't do that because I have a life and I need to do this and this and this. And that's okay. And my son still eats and my son is healthy. And it's just the way that you program your mind, you know? Yeah. Being able to step outside of yourself, do whatever works for you. If you need to wake up a little bit earlier to have time for you, or go to sleep a little later, or put your kids to sleep earlier, then you need to do what works for you. You can't be the best version of you if you're not committed to giving yourself the love that you need and the nourishment. So rediscovering you, and it starts with you. What do I want? What do I need? Take a time out and say, okay, what about me? And there's going to be so much that comes up or comes to mind. So taking that time for that.
Yeah, like how we were saying earlier that this just asking yourself, what do you want? Like what you want might not be what the next mom wants or the next woman wants. What do you want? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to stay at home, be a stay-at-home mom? Do you want to go back to work? What do you want? And I think that's important.
And balancing also, like, us as moms, we want to be so perfect for our kids that we neglect our own wants. Like your child doesn't need to be in 57 different programs where you don't have time for yourself. How are you going to be a sane and fruitful parent when you're not doing anything for you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to be able to say, you know what? No, you don't need to do baseball, football, chess, and then there's no time for me. No, you can choose two, and I'll commit to two, but then I need to commit this hour once a day for me. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's just one example. It could also be in your relationship. Maybe you don't have enough time for each other. You have to make an effort for those things. So it's whatever works for you, whatever works for your relationship, whatever works for your family. It starts with you and making sure that you make that time for you.
Yeah. So I Googled how to rediscover ourselves, and some of these things came up. So for example, it's something that you already spoke about. Figure out your values. Take some me time, which is what you just spoke about. Ask your friends why you're awesome. Try a new sport or hobby by yourself. Spend some time in nature. Meditate. relive great memories, and journal or write your eulogy.
Those all sound pretty good.
Yeah, I thought that writing your eulogy is kind of weird. Yeah. but the I guess um the logic behind it kind of makes sense, because
of course.
It says, the logic behind it is that, okay, normally someone else will be writing it for you, right? But if you write it yourself, you're writing it as, how people see you. So how do you want people to see you when, you pass? Like, what kind of person do you want them to remember you as? You want them to remember you as, the person that said yes to everything and was stressful and not happy with yourself? Or do you want people to remember you as, you know, being the best version of yourself? And that means taking care of you and doing the things that make you happy and living a happy life.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting.
Very interesting. I thought that's cool.
So how can you embrace the new you? How did you do that?
Stop caring about what other people thought. Because I feel like there's like I keep saying, like since you're small in your family, things are embedded in you that you don't realize how they affect you until you get older. And for me, when I was struggling with postpartum, I always feared, which is why I never told anyone. I feared what people were going to say, because I always wanted kids. And then you have kids and people are going to be like, oh, now you're complaining. Oh, but this is what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you hold yourself back from even hearing people saying anything or even making gestures. But again, these are feelings you can't control, and you feel what you feel, and it is what it is. You have to learn to stop caring, to turn it off.
Yeah.
Turning off the noise,
And you know what? To be honest, at the end of the day, who do you have to live with? Yourself, right? Exactly. So just making you happy should be our priority.
Yep. That's why I said in the beginning, learning to be unapologetically you. And that means if you need to say no to your parents, you need to say no, because that does not work with you at the moment. Or if you need to say no to your kids, no to your partner, no to whatever. No, this is my time. Like, for example, me, I love to work out, and my hour of working out is sacred. If my husband interrupts me, I'm going to be pissed off. If my kids interrupt me, I get upset, because it's like, this is my time. This is your time with your kids. You know what I'm saying? So I make it a priority for me, because that's what makes me happy. And I don't feel guilty about it. Versus before, I would have, but I don't. Yeah. Or if my girlfriends want to go and have a drink once on a blue moon, I used to feel guilty. I don't anymore, because I understand that as a woman, I deserve to have a day with my friends. There's nothing wrong with that. And as a mom, I deserve it even more. So these are the things that you have to just learn to accept. Yeah. And be okay with.
Yeah, I agree. What advice would you give that woman who is listening, and she just came out of, a struggle, could be a divorce or battled cancer or something, hard journey that she went through and wants to rediscover herself, what advice would you give her?
I would say take time alone for yourself. Make that time with yourself and speak to yourself, because no one knows your journey more than you. No matter if you have a friend that you can talk to, a coworker, a significant other, only you know. Yeah. Only you really, really, really know what you go through. In my deepest, darkest times, I only had me, because again, I don't like to ask for help, except now right now, at the point that I'm in now, I'm okay being completely transparent, because I understand that it helps other women. But until you don't get to that point, you only have you. So if you're at this moment going through something and you find yourself lost, you don't know what you're going to do, you don't know who you are. Ask yourself, who am I? What are the things that I love? What makes me happy? What doesn't make me happy? Yeah. And if you have to write a list, you write a list. If it's mental, you write a mental. If you need to get the vision boards, you do that too. Whatever works. Take time every morning or every afternoon, whenever it is that you have, to spend time with yourself, to ask yourself these questions so that you're not influenced by anyone else other than you. Because it'll come to you. You will see, like, you know what? This person that I've been around, kind of like, I don't like their company. Or this job that I'm doing, I don't really like my job. Or I don't know, just different things can come up and you'll start noticing that maybe you need to start shredding things from your life, shredding people, or adding. So making the time for you and just asking yourself, who am I? What do I love? And what's important to me?
Yeah. I just want to add to that, to also be patient with yourself. Mm-hmm. It takes time, and it's a journey. It's not it's not a race. Say, like, it's not a race. Mm-hmm. It's a journey and it's a life change. Just be patient, little by little, to one thing at a time.
For me, I feel like if anything that I say can help you guys, like, I was constantly feeling like my clock was ticking in terms of figuring out who I was and what I wanted to do with my life, because I was turning 40. So once I was about to turn 40, I felt even more like, oh my goodness, I still am trying to figure myself out. And then I realized it's not a race, Most women start, I had read an article that most women that start businesses started after 40. And most people discover who they are or what they want to do or whatever after they're in their 40s. So everything happens for someone else, and everything happens different for everyone. That's what I meant. So for me, it happened after I turned 40. That was a few months ago. And I'm okay with that. If you would have asked me this question last year, my answer would have been different. But at this point in my life, I can say that.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. And also to, like, don't compare yourself to other people. Everyone is going through their own journey, right? So just because the 25-year-old rediscovered herself and is launching a business, and you're in your 30s, doesn't mean you're behind. She's going through her own journey. You're going through your own journey, and things will fall into place when they're supposed to, like in your own time.
Yep. And don't be afraid of that either. Don't be afraid that a 20-something-year-old could teach you something. I mean, I just met a girl that's 21 years old, and she's like on the top of her game in her business. And I felt inspired by this girl, you know? I didn't feel intimidated. I didn't feel ashamed. It inspired me. Like, you know what? Good for her that it's happening for her at this point, but good for me, it's happening for me now. So things can happen for you when you least expect it. And you never know who may come into your life to make a difference, to add to your life. And also, on the topic of not comparing your life, forget about social media, because people only show you what they want you to see. And that person that you may be following, that you may be admiring, that you may be thinking, oh my God, wow, the grass is greener on that side than mine. They may have a worse life than you. They may be hiding deep, deep secrets. They may be fighting demons that you never want to fight.
Yeah.
So
true.
And whatever you have, trust me, someone else wants. So these are things that are important also, that play a role in us and who we are and how we see ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, it's easier said than done, right?
Of course.
But the key is to just focus on yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just making sure that you're happy and that you're doing what you want to do. Yep. Taking, you know, that me time. You know, it doesn't have to be every day. If you can every day, that's great. But at least like once a week, once a month, you know, whatever works. How, you know, how you were saying earlier, whatever works for you and your family. Or even if you're single, you know, whatever works for you, make that work.
Right.
As long as you have that me time, you know, and that me time can be something as simple as just getting your nails done, or writing in a journal, or going for a walk, something
taking a long bath.
Yeah, something that's gonna help you just to be in peace and and, you know, release some stress, and so you can come back to reality and you know, give it your best.
Yep. Exactly.
Do you have a song, Bible verse, poem, or something that when you're feeling like throwing, you know, the towel, something that gives you inspiration and keeps you going?
I don't have like one specific thing, but I do know that when I'm feeling at my lowest, I follow Elevation Church.
Okay.
And Steve Furtick, he just, I follow him also, and he always puts up like these 2-minute videos of like the sermon that he's given.
Yeah.
And for some reason, whatever I'm going through this day is what this man is talking about. Yeah. And it's like,
isn't it weird?
You know, I'm a believer in God, and I'm just like, okay, like, you know, like he's talking to me. Or I can talk to someone and they say something and I'm like, that's God talking to me. You know what I'm saying? It's happened to me so many times. I don't know. I feel like me talking to different women like yourself now and who I've met in the Mighty Network, that has helped me a lot, because with my podcast, I didn't really know. I know a lot of women, but women don't tend to be transparent because, of course, you know, there's so much judgment and whatever. So for my podcast, it was hard for me to find a lot of people to interview. And I mainly interview women. So with this network, it's like I've been connected with so many different, wonderful, inspiring women. And I'm so grateful for it. You know, these are the things that make me happy. They make me feel like inspired. And as well as that, I also write in my journal. I listen to music. I love listening to music. Um, or just spending time with myself, going to the supermarket by myself. That makes me super happy if I don't have to take my kids. You know, so there's just so many things that,
It's the little things, right?
it's funny, but it's listen, as a mom, you go to the supermarket by yourself, you're throwing a party because I don't know, that's at least for me. It makes me happy, and or watching a favorite TV show that I haven't been able to watch in months.
Yeah. And you know what I want to add before we close, I want to add that also because you said something that that's really important, that it's hard to find women who want to open up, right, about their struggles, because and it's very understandable. We want to be seen as strong, right, that we can handle everything, but in reality we cannot. I mean, there's some that, sure, that seems like that's what they're doing, but and kudos to them, but I think it's important to find that community with other women, and share your stories and learn from their stories and their journeys. And that's one of the reasons, or I should say that's the main reason why I created this podcast, to share the journeys of different women, because you just never know who you can inspire, who you can give hope. It could be someone listening that they're about to lose it because they feel alone. They feel like no one understands. But guess what? Then they listen to a story where, like you, where you're a mom of 3, and how you were before, how you thought you had to conform to society, and then you say, you know what? That's not making me happy. Mm-hmm. What makes me happy is going, with my own, my own standards. And she might listen to that and say, hey, if she was able to do it, then I can do it too.
Yes, that's exactly why I created my podcast also.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us women to support each other more, and to root for one another, and to say, you know what, I'm not perfect either. And and that's okay. So I think it's great that you have this podcast, this platform for women, and me as well, and many other women that do it also. I think it's important. And I think it's for me, it's very gratifying. It fills me, it fills my heart when I get messages from people I never met. Like, listen, your podcast just made such a difference in my life. Yeah. And it's like, it makes me smile in my heart. So,
yeah. So talking about podcast, where can we find your journey? I know you have a podcast, but do you have like social media, or where can we find you? Where can we follow your journey?
So my Instagram page is A Moment for Mom 1. And my podcast, you can find it on Anchor. The website is anchor.fm/Nayris-Sanchez. But also you can type A Moment for Mom, and it comes up with my name, Nayris Sanchez, because I know it's a long name. And I have it also on my Instagram.
Okay.
So momentformom.1 is my my Instagram. And that's where you'll find my podcast, whatever the latest episodes, and just different things that I post, inspiring, empowering, things like that.
Okay. And I'll have all that information in the show notes. So check that out and go follow Nayris and listen to her podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for this conversation that is very much needed and important. Thank you.
Thank you for being brave and sharing your story.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully this is not the first or the last time that we work together.
Of course. Yes. Let's do more.
Yes.
But thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode inspired you. If you like this podcast, please share on social media and tag me on Instagram @TheBraveandHer. I would love to hear your stories of bravery.